Just when you think the mid-size SUV market is saturated, with 20 different models on offer, along comes another newcomer ready to swan dive off the high tower into the deep end of the pool. Tiggo is a group of 4 SUVs produced by automotive powerhouse Chery, and the Tiggo 7 Pro is the first example to make its way to Australian showrooms.
It joins the compact Chery Motor 5 that's proved popular in the small SUV segment since its local launch earlier this year. Offered in 3 model grades, this 1.6-litre turbo petrol 5-seater is priced and specified to give the likes of Haval's H6 and the MG-HS a hard time, not to mention category frontrunners like the Mazda CX-5, Mitsubishi Outlander and Toyota RAV4.
So stay with us for a first drive impression of this fresh challenger to see whether it has what it takes to make a splash on your new car shopping list.
We'll get to the engine details shortly, but for now it's important to note the underbonnet hardware is the same in all 3 Tiggo 7 Pro grades. What does change is the standard specification, and even the entry-level Urban at just under $40,000 drive away boasts a pretty handy standard features list. The highlights are dual-zone climate control, digital screens for media and instrumentation, synthetic leather seats, 8-speaker Sony audio, a sunroof and ambient lighting. There's more, so for all the details check out my written review at carsguide.com.au. At just on $42,000 drive away, the mid-tier Elite adds a surround view parking camera, an auto tailgate and more. Then, the top spec Ultimate sits just under $46,000 drive away, stepping up from front to all-wheel drive and adding 19-inch alloy wheels up from 18s, ventilated seats, a memory electrically adjustable driver's seat and heaps more. Not bad at all in the context of the Tiggo 7's price, competitors and market positioning.
The Tiggo 7 Pro isn't exactly pushing out the edges of the automotive design envelope. It's attractive, if somewhat conservative.
That said, the big cascading grille, floating roof effect, courtesy of a blacked out C-pillar and rear side window treatment, as well as intricately styled alloy rims, add an air of sophistication. The taillight design picks up on the current full width trend, and twin exhaust apertures under the bumper are a nice touch. The interior is relatively understated, but sleek thanks to this gently curved, sweeping dash panel. With twin 12.3-inch screens, one for multimedia, another for instrumentation, housed in this single tablet-style unit. The synthetic leather seats look and feel good, and details like knurled surfaces on key controls lift the tone.
Under the bonnet of all Tiggo 7 variants is a 1.6-litre turbo petrol 4-cylinder engine, producing about 140 kilowatts and 270 newton metres. That's more than most of this car's relevant competitors.
In the Urban and Elite, drive goes to the front wheels via a 7-speed dual-clutch transmission, with all wheels driven in the top-spec Ultimate. At a fraction over 4.5 metres long, nearly 1.9 metres wide and just under 1.7 metres tall, with a close to 2.7 metre wheelbase, the 5-seat Tiggo 7 Pro sits smack in the middle of the typical mid-size SUV footprint. At 183 centimetres tall, I've got plenty of breathing space in the front here. For storage, there's a generous box/armrest between the seats, twin covered cup holders in the centre console, bins in the doors with enough room for medium-sized bottles, and a decent glove box. And in the back, sitting behind the driver's seat set for my position, I've got tons of headroom, plenty of leg room, and shoulder room. There'd be enough to fit 3 full-size adults across here for medium journeys, and individual ventilation for backseaters, which is a big tick. Storage options include map pockets on the front seat backs, door bins, a slim oddments tray under the ventilation outlets, and a pair of cup holders in the fold-down centre armrest. Connectivity and power runs to 2 USB outlets, Type A for media, Type C for charge only, a 12-volt socket and a wireless charging pad up front, with another USB-A in the rear and a second 12-volt outlet in the boot. Speaking of which, with all seats up, the boot offers a generous 626 litres of storage, expanding to 1,672 litres with the 60/40 split rear seats folded. A full-size spare sits under the floor, but be aware the Tiggo 7 Pro isn't rated for towing. Chery's official combined cycle fuel economy number for the Tiggo 7 Pro is 7 litres per 100 kilometres, the all-wheel drive Ultimate pushing that up to 7.8 litres per 100. On the launch drive program covering city, B-road and freeway running along the coast south of Sydney, we recorded an average of 9.8 litres per 100 kilometres in the Ultimate. Not outrageous for a non-hybrid in this class. Worth noting the minimum fuel requirement is the pricier 95 RON Premium Unleaded. You'll need 51 litres of it to fill the Urban and Elite, and 57 litres to brim the all-wheel drive Ultimate. Theoretical range for all three is around 730 kilometres.
The 1.6 litre turbo petrol makes 275 newton metres at 2000 RPM. So that's some pretty good pulling power fairly low down in the rev range. And it only weighs in at 1.5 tonnes, so it's not a featherweight, it's not a heavyweight either. And Chery says it will accelerate from 0 to 100 km/h in about 9.5 seconds, closer to 10 for the all-wheel drive model. And it's a little bit hoarse when you do give it the beans. If you want to put your foot closer to the floorboards, it does become a little bit hoarse, and you can hear the engine trying hard, but after all, that's a fairly rare occurrence.
There are 3 drive modes: Eco, Sport and Normal, with the addition of snow, mud and off-road in the all-wheel drive Ultimate.
Suspension is via struts at the front, multi-link at the rear, and we've been on some pretty typical B-road surfaces today, pock-marked, coarse chip type bitumen, and there are no complaints in terms of the ride comfort. It is pretty good. The small frequency bumps and dips are dealt with well, as well as the longer undulations. It's a pretty comfortable car. The steering is electrically assisted, and you've got to say that there's not a whole heap of road feel. It's quite light in terms of its resistance, but a connection between your hands and the tyres, it's not really there. The 18-inch rubber is Atlas and the 19s are Cooper, and they are not mainstream brands, either of them, but on the evidence of today's drive, they both grip pretty well, they're quiet. The car remains pretty level, body control is nicely managed, but it's just that steering, the light steering and the lack of road feel is a bit of an issue. The brakes are discs all round, ventilated at the front. We've just been heading down some steep descents, lots of bends, lots of braking, a nice firm pedal, progressive kind of activation of the brakes, and not a hint of fade, so no dramas there. In terms of miscellaneous thoughts, the rear view mirror in here, it's quite a wide angle. It feels like you're looking into a pair of binoculars. It's quite a magnifying effect, which takes a little bit of getting used to. Also, the gear shifter, in terms of going from drive through neutral to reverse, particularly at parking type speeds, you need to be quite deliberate in terms of choosing where you want to go. Really hold the detent button, put it into drive, wait for it to acquire its gear. Same with reverse, so it's not exactly flick it into gear and off you go. You do have to give it a bit of thought before you do that.
The light steering pays off in parking manoeuvres, and there's a 360-degree camera view on the 2 top models, which is always nice. But all-round vision is pretty good anyway. As we're shooting this video, Chery Australia is well into the Tiggo 7 Pro's ANCAP assessment process. It's scored a maximum 5 stars from Euro ANCAP, so it's fair to assume that rating will apply locally. And the active crash avoidance tech is laid on thick. For all the details, check out my written review, but the highlights are front and rear AEB, blind spot detection and active cruise control, plus a bunch of warnings, lane departure, forward and rear collision and door opening, as well as alerts like rear cross traffic and assists, including lane change, speed control and more. If an impact is unavoidable, there are 8 airbags on board, including a front centre and driver's knee bag. That's impressive in this part of the market. The Tiggo 7 Pro is covered by Chery's 7-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is 2 years up on most of the market. There's also 7 years cap price servicing and up to 7 years roadside assist, as long as you have your car serviced at an authorised Chery dealer. The first 5 visits to the workshop will cost you $280 a pop, and a little more after that, especially for the all-wheel drive Ultimate, but that's a pretty good deal. The main service interval is 12 months 15,000 kilometres, which is in line with most of the competition.
Chery says the right-hand drive market is paramount for its global expansion, and that Australia is key to that growth. Well, if this car's quality and value for money and performance is any indication, it's on the right track. Que shi la.